to remain silent upon interrogation at, say, Heathrow Airport if you are stopped by police with no reasonable grounds. And so that was surrendered during the time of concerns around terrorism.
When you're turning out of here, make sure you look out for vehicles that are coming into Midlet Road, going through the traffic calming measures.
If you don't do this, people will die.
So if you can't see past the silver car on the right, you'll see in a couple of seconds, then don't come out. There's a silver car. Once you get to the silver car, they'll be at Midlet Road.
Due to our desire to be safe, it can
He can't see you.
Nobody being allowed or permitted to do anything. Now there comes a point with this where you have to stop and say, if I can't do much,
if you can't see up to the recovery truck, if it's there today,
isn't that what life is about?
then you shouldn't even be coming out.
Think of it like this.
Again, we refer back to the vanishing point. If you can't see your vanishing point, and if you can't constantly update that vanishing point, you're not going to pass the test in Heaton Test Centre. So once you position your car, establish where the recovery truck is. If you cannot see the recovery truck from here, you're going to fail your driving test. Once I turn left over here, I want you to see if you can see the recovery truck. So before you attempt to come out, you need to be able to see it. So once you come out, remember there's cars parked on either side. Make sure you pull out slowly and you don't launch the car into Midlet Road. I can see the recovery truck. If you can't see it from here, it's finished. It's a 4K video. You should be able to see it. If you can't see it, or if you misunderstand and I don't know, it's there. You can see it now. Can you see how the blue car's gone over the line? If he's gone over the line, you're going to get close to the line. You need to make sure that you slow down and you understand the hazards that you're coming across.
But in principle, our liberties in this country have been suspended. And the reason they've been suspended isn't because of the policing bill that passed its.
Now when you're on this road, if you're in an automatic, no big deal. You just follow the road up, drive normally, no gears, no stress, no issues. But if you're driving your manual, you're being gear 3 around here. You'll be doing about 26, 27, 28 miles an hour, depending on the traffic. As you're following the road up, start doing your step down in gears. Gently start slowing the car down. So you'll be doing about 23, 22. You'll be in gear 2 here. And when you slide the car into gear 1 here, try and get the car to stop on the line here, where I am now. So this is where your hill start comes in. Hill start, 2 ways to do it. You can either use your handbrake or keep your foot brake on, depending on what car you've got. In my Fiesta, foot brake on, good enough, in gear 1. As soon as you come off the foot brake, you'll find your biting point. Hill assist helps you. You can move off by giving gas and going. If you can apply your handbrake, it'll disable your hill assist. Then you'll have to find your biting point. You'll have to give a bit more gas to move off. When you're going around this corner, be a little bit more careful. Why? It's a very narrow road. There's cars parked on either side. You're both going to go over the centre line. So make sure that your car's at an appropriate speed. If there's somebody already coming through, stop, let them come through. Similar to how this Audi was coming through. See how he's coming through, the white Audi. I'm just going to ease off a little. He's going to come over like, he's going pretty quick. But you know, they do it over here. I'm adjusting my speed accordingly. I'm not in no rush. See how that car slowed down? And they've stopped. Very sensible driving. These routes are not guaranteed to be on your test, so don't assume that they're guaranteed. I mean, it's a legal disclaimer as well, so don't be thinking, look, it's 100% guaranteed you'll be on one of these. You might be, you might not be. No big deal. If you can drive a car, you'll pass a driving test. No argument.
gives arbitrary powers to the police, immigration officers, and public health officials to detain, quote, potentially infectious. Underline the word potentially. You don't even have to be infectious. You're potentially infectious, right? End of quote. Members of the public, including children, potentially indefinitely, in unidentified isolation facilities. How is that any different to the kinds of concerns that Aldous Huxley raised in A Brave New World? This is the kind of power that belonged in East Berlin, not in Free Britain. What about Schedule 22 of the Coronavirus Act?
As you're going down this road, see where that black car is. Now, if you didn't see that black car, you would assume that you're going to go ahead and there's no giveaway. There is a giveaway. The giveaway is here. It's in front of you. There. So it's here. Now, if you're not going to give way, you're simply not going to pass a driving test. It's as simple as that.
That were passed without the scrutiny they deserve because everybody was scared of COVID. Yes.
Now, whether you're going ahead or you're turning left, you're turning right, you will have a giveaway. You will have to give way there. Now, if you completely overshoot that junction, it's game over. It's as simple as that. So even if there's nobody there, that's irrelevant. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. So even if there's nobody there, you'll still fail your test.
You found a problem with it. But remember this, civil liberties, by definition, are not civil liberties if you only apply them on people you agree with, by definition. And that sentence I've just uttered helps you understand me and my show. Sometimes my listeners think Majid's a Brexiter. Sometimes my listeners think Majid supports Trump. Sometimes my listeners think Majid is a jihadist. Sometimes my listeners think Majid is pro-immigrants and immigration to Britain. And the reason that you get these contradictory messages from me is because by definition, civil liberties do not only apply upon people with whom we agree. By definition, civil liberties need to be universal for every single human being. Otherwise, they are not human rights. They are not civil liberties. Otherwise, they are selectively conferred privileges granted to certain sectors of society.
It's got nowhere else to go.
You wish to grant those privileges because they suit your agenda. You could catch yourself doing that on the left of our party politics. You could catch yourself doing that on the right. It doesn't concern me what end of the political spectrum you're on. What concerns me is that we consistently apply civil liberties upon those with whom we agree and disagree. So that protest today that you just heard about and the protest last weekend both have the right to protest. And if you disagree there, fine, that's your right to. But don't say you support human rights and universal human rights and civil liberties. You're listening to Majid Noah's here on LBC. The time is 2:17.
This is LBC. Enjoy the flight on Sky Sports F1. It's all come down to a last lap. Verstappen right on Hamilton's tail. Can he take him line and jump the inside? Believe what I've just seen. Incredible stuff. That was unmissable. Don't miss it. It's only live once. Upgrade to Sky Sports F1 for just £18 extra a month. See sky.com/F1 for details. Sky TV required. Further terms apply.
Tesco Mobile would like to say sorry on behalf of most of the other mobile networks. For years, they've been hiking up your bills mid-contract, making nearly £1 billion extra since 2013. And this spring, they'll do it again. That's a real kick in the Sims. Whereas Tesco Mobile have never raised prices mid-contract, ever. So if you'd like your price frozen for your whole contract, come and say hello. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. See tescomobile.com/tariff-promise for full details.
Hello, I'm Vicky.
Now, when you get to the top of the road, when you are turning left or turning right, make sure you don't stick the car in the middle of the road. Make sure you stop appropriately if you need to. And you can't just lam the car in the middle. You'll obstruct vehicles turning into this road.
Due to their alleged use of emissions controlling devices. To join the claim and find out if you qualify, visit mercedesemissionsclaim.co.uk or text.
And this car's coming far too fast. He's launching it. I've had to stop it in the middle of the road. That car there.
You're probably doing more online than ever.
And this is what they mean about Heaton test centre. People just drive too fast. Now you would have pulled off, like I did there. You would have pulled off, gently build your speed up. In the meantime, a wannabe Lewis Hamilton he's already doing 60 on this road, and it's a 30 road. That's how you fail a driving test.
Help protect your livelihood. Protect your business at cyberaware.gov.uk. 7 weeks from listening.
And the reason why you'd fail is because you just didn't see him coming. You have to see him coming, because it's dangerous. Because if he's launching up the road and you're travelling at 20-25, he's going to go into your car.
Then in just 7 weeks, you could get it back through AMK Legal. No paperwork is needed. Simply text GOOD to 78900. That's GOOD to 78900. Seriously, 7 weeks.
Becoming a dad is a life-changing experience. And of course you want to give your baby the best start. But it's also tough, especially if you're in a relationship that's abusive. Take action. Break the cycle.
To anyone that's sitting there struggling, feeling guilty, feeling shameful, feeling like they're not worth anything, you're wrong. Whatever problems you felt, get up, deal with them, and you will be a better person.
Begin your journey by searching for baby's sake.
Get brilliant broadband at a brilliant price, because Superfast Fibre is now $24.99 a month for 24 months with a $19.99 setup. With BT, you get this.
Well, that's a new speed camera.
£20 back with our Stay Fast guarantee. Powerful Wi-Fi from our smart hub with a Which Best Buy and more online security than any other big provider. So join BT today. Offer ends 20th of March. CPI plus 3.9 increase each March. £32.99 for month 25. £20 BT reward card if we can't fix speed in 30 days. To verify, email superfast.fibre@bt.com. Terms apply.
This is LBC with Majid Nawaz. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Text us 8485. Indeed, tweet us at LBC Majid Nawaz directly. And before I go to the calls, Mark is waiting from Enfield. Home Secretary Priti Patel has stressed that protests cannot take place while the pandemic continues. And this is her speaking in the House of Commons this week.
Sadly, as of Sunday, the 14th of March, more than 125,500 lives have been lost to this horrible virus. It is for that reason that I continue to urge everyone, for as long as these regulations are in place, not to participate in large gatherings or attend protests. The right to protest is the cornerstone of our democracy, but the government's duty remains to prevent more lives being lost during this pandemic.
And so clearly, I've given you my view. I think it's gone too far in terms of the coronavirus act, and it's up for debate for renewal every 6 months. And that timing means that next week is up for renewal. I've told you I think it should be repealed. Interestingly, the 1922 committee has come out now against the renewal of the act. The vice chair said it's time for this act to be repealed. And that's interesting, of course, because there may well be a Tory backbench revolt on this. Sir Charles Walker, the vice chairman of the 1922 committee of Tory backbench, said that he would not be supporting the government because the emergency legislation had, quote, reached its sell-by date. One does wonder, therefore, where the Labour Party now stands on the emergency coronavirus legislation and whether or not they will back its renewal. As I say, the lines are open 0345 6060 973, and Mark wants to speak to us from Enfield. Go for it, Mark.
Hi there. Firstly, hello. I love your show, and I think you're the most even-handed broadcaster on radio, probably on all media.
There's a big buck coming, is there, Mark?
No,
Okay.
I wish there was more people like you. Some of your colleagues, for example, are very one side or the other, whichever particular.
Let's not go to other shows, but tell us what you think on this topic today.
Let's not. But in that line, I'm very much that I'm almost I don't know what the answer is.
It's not safe, I'm going to wait.
You were making around, and I think that if you apply these exceptions to one area, you apply them to all. Otherwise, there is no civil liberty.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't know who. I suppose I don't know who makes the rules. I mean, I'm someone. I've been supposed to say I love a
See the gap that I just showed you there? If I was going to turn right there, the gap for me personally wasn't good, so I waited. So that's the sort of gap, the sort of turn, sort of safe distance you'd be expected to be using.
Who makes the rules about what's an exception in order to keep the standards of civil liberties? I certainly don't know.
Right. Right, so you're speaking to somebody that disagreed with all of that anyway, but in order to address your point and not simply fob you off, because obviously my answer would be I never agreed with lockdown, but in order to address your point and not fob you off with
Can I ask why?
well, that no, because that becomes a different show. You can listen back to all my shows and clips. They're all on LBC's website as well. You can listen back to hear my reasoning. And also, I've actually posted very, very long threads on my social media threads with all the evidence and studies on that. So you can have a look at that if you search for them. But to address your question and not fob it off with that answer, I'd say to you that there is still a difference between holding government to account and protesting to try and pressure government to change its policies and having the right to drink in a pub, which both are rights.
Yeah, but who makes that rule? Who decides?
I'll explain to you. Let me explain to you. Both are rights, and I believe both are your right to do. However, there is still a scale, and it's the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other such universal declarations, such as on bioethics, that set certain universal standards for red lines when it comes to human rights. And if you have a look at those, for example, the right to liberty, freedom of religion, all of those, the freedom from discrimination based on race, ethnicity, gender, all of those issues are red lines ingrained in certain international norms that we've signed up to. Now, that doesn't mean...
I didn't get a choice.
I know, but we're a democracy.
But I didn't vote on it, a bit like many other institutions you talk about.
But Mark, I'm sure you agree. I'm addressing it directly to you. I'm sure you agree that putting people in concentration camps, whether you agreed to our country signing up to the idea that that's wrong, whether or not you agree to it, I'm sure you agree it's wrong, right?
Of course.
Right, so that's an example of a red line that exists in universal standards of human rights. And the right to protest, freedom of assembly is one of them. And so I am not disputing that you have a right to open a small business or drink in a small business, because I've never supported the lockdown, but I am saying to you that rather than fob you off by saying I agree with you, I'm adding a layer to the conversation and saying, still, within the fact that you and I are on the same page with that, there are scales to rights, and one of them is, for example, that genocide is wrong. And whether or not you signed up to the fact that we signed up as a nation to the idea that genocide is wrong, it is irrelevant. You still agree genocide is a red line. And that's where, that's the point I'm making, that freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, these are ingrained and they are called inalienable rights for a reason. And if they are inalienable, then they must not be taken away.
Where was my voice for my choices in that list that has become ingrained in society?
Yeah,
this is my point.
Yeah, but the examples I mentioned, like freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, these are inalienable, and you're not even disputing them. So we're in danger of becoming theoretical here. But thank you.
But what I'm saying is, who made that list? It's a bit like the Oscars. They will say, oh, well, the best person won. Well, the best person won based on the list that none of us got to choose on who to vote for.
Well, Mark, we can discuss the peripheries of that, but what you're not doing is disputing that freedom of religion, freedom of political assembly, freedom from discrimination, such as being genocided, all these international, you're not disputing them. So I worry that this could become a conversation, political theory, rather than a practical one. So thank you very much for calling, but let's try and stick to the topic. Nancy from Hornchurch, tell us what you think.
Well, yeah, I think the government doing something that is totally against the law in this particular situation, because
which situation, Nancy? What
well, I mean, we as you just
see, now I'm looking in my right door mirror. I know there's two lanes here, so the traffic lights on the main road, there's two lanes there. So as we go ahead at these traffic lights, they merge into one lane. So if you look shortly, as we go ahead, you'll see a blue coloured car. He's going to merge with me. So I'm looking in my right door mirror, I'm watching this, and there's a Vectra, a dark blue Vectra. Now the car behind me, and now she's coming round me. Oh, he's coming round me. There we are. And that's something that you've got to see, you must see while you're driving your car. Very important that you see that car. And that's essentially where people go wrong. You don't check your mirrors, you're going to fail a driving test. Why? Because you're unaware of your surroundings. It could have been an ambulance, it could have been a motorcyclist, anybody. The speed limit used to be 40 here, and now it goes into 40 here. So it used to be 40, 100 metres back, and on some sat navs, if it doesn't have the auto update, it'll still show 40, and if it hasn't been updated, it will still show 40. So it's important that you make sure that you travel appropriately and that you're aware of the speed limits. So now I'm looking at where they're coming from. I'm watching the red car. I'm watching people in that lane coming round the roundabout. Not in use, I'm going to go into it. Now here I'm going to stay close to the curb. So if I travel in a straight line, I'd fail my test because I'd end up going into this black car here. So it's important that you stay close to the curb as you're coming round. The reason why there's no line markings there, it's quite simple. There's an entry and exit point. It just makes sense.
Across Europe, both France and Poland have reintroduced partial lockdowns as COVID infections soar, while Germany says it may have to do the same. Violating European wildlife, citizens demonstrated by marching from central London, protesting against lockdown measures. People were arrested, police trying to disperse the marchers. But the northeast England and eastern Scotland will see sunshine, otherwise a cloudy night spell, and a high of 14. This is LBC.
About here. Make sure you follow it round before you turn in. Now you should be able to see the blue Audi from here.
Keep connecting. For info and terms, visit vodafone.co.uk/tech-appeal.
Remember the excitement of a spontaneous weekend break? Or that walk along the coast when walking wasn't the only thing we could do? What better way to get back out there than in a new Audi? Because when you finance one now at 5.2% APR representative, the first 3 monthly payments are on us, on eligible models. Search Audi offers or visit your local Audi centre. There's actually never been a better time. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik. With solutions PCP, ordered by 30th of April and delivered by 30th of June 2021. APR may change on 1st of April. 3 months on us. Discount is provided by reducing our standard interest rate. Minimum 46-month agreements only. Excludes RS, R8, e-tron GT models. Indemnities may be required. Audi Financial Services. Visit audi.co.uk.
If you wear a reusable face mask which is more than 3 months old and you've washed it daily, we suggest that you should now consider replacing it. At Trusted PPE, we've cut the price of helping you to stay safe with 6 rewashable coverings, now just £13.95. Order before 4 p.m. weekdays for same-day dispatch.
Stay close to the curb.
trustedppe.co.uk. Free delivery on orders over £50. £4.95 postage applies to all other orders. Rated excellent on Trustpilot.
At Lidl, we're big on Easter, with a half-leg of lamb from £8.49 per kilo, and something sweet, like our deluxe Madagascan dark chocolate egg for only £3.99. All from the Retail Industry Awards Supermarket
Here.
of the Year. Now
sure you can see the black Audi from here. Need to watch out for these guys just in case. Now establish where they come from. You should be looking at the last red car as well, and the white transit van. watching. This is Bradford. Always expect the unexpected. Always, always. Especially on that junction. It's a very busy junction. On the arrow.
To further restrict the right to protest, while at the same time from the other end of her mouth, claiming she was disturbed by what she saw on Clapham Common. She and the government are the ones that granted police these powers and suspended our liberties in this way in the first place.
Yeah, and it's just really shocking to hear that, you know, in Britain, a politician can stand up and say, you can't demonstrate. That's just ridiculous. You know, it's against everything that this country stands for.
So we want the lane on the left. There's two lanes that open up here. We're going to follow the BMW, the black car.
By 60 MPs and peers, does appear to have a number of Labour, Conservative and Lib Dems.
You need to make sure there's nobody coming round the roundabout or on your right. Or use this car like I have to shield me. I've just used this black car here, that one there, to shield me as he was coming out. I need to be careful if I'm travelling up this road on the left. It's a very small road.
1922 committee of the Conservative Party, their vice chair has said it's time to appeal that act. We're waiting to see what the Labour Party's stance will be. Where would you like to see the Labour Party on this question?
I'm not really sure because I don't actually take. I'm not really
They don't look like they're going.
take part in politics that much. But I would like.
This is Bradford. Oh Lord. This is why Heaton Test Centre's so hard. It's everything happens very, very quickly. You've got to be on your guard. You've got to honestly expect the unexpected. What you think would be completely insane is legit in some people's eyes over here. So it's very important that when you're travelling, when you're on this road, that you expect these people and you anticipate what they may or may not do. Most of the time it's sensible driving. However, you've got to be able to see it and predict it. To give you an example, we're going to go to the end of this road. There's a white coloured car on the left. I am looking at the end of the road. On the right hand side this car, so this car's parked on either side. On my side, the left hand side, there's more space. On the right hand side there isn't enough space. So if there's somebody coming into the road, they're going to go over the dividing line, which means they're going to be in my path. Now I'm going to turn right at the end of this road, and you can just about vaguely see this line, and you can see they don't have much room. Now because they don't have much room, it's why it's important that when you're travelling on this road that you're aware of this. Now this is a traffic calming measure. I've checked my mirrors. Nobody coming, gently go through. Speed limit's 20 here. Looking in my right door mirror, making sure he's not overtaking me. And this brings you back to the test centre.